Hey, what's going on, YouTube?
Damn, boy.
Uh, we're
Damn,
about to get into
boy.
some
He fit.
thick-ass profit
Boy, that's
crafting.
a thick
Cool
ass
little currency
boy.
strategy that I've been doing to a great degree of success, really over the past week or so. But in particular today, I kind of set a goal for myself to see if I could make a mirror on a single stream in profit. And not only did I, accomplish that in terms of sales and profit, but I actually found a strategy that I'm going to fully explain here that is relatively easy to replicate and is mathematically and demonstrably breaks down to 160 what is it 166 divine positive expected value profit per hour. So I'm going to go through the strategy here and just show you guys what I've been doing and how you can do that as well in the multifaceted way in which to implement that. Now, as always, when you're watching this, in particular on YouTube, don't go out and try and do this exactly as I've shown it. In particular, I'm doing this in a very high volume right now to show you that, to show you that it's not just some, getting lucky in a small vacuum situation. I have purchased a large amount of the material markets on this as well. Obviously, the supply side or the sales side is going to be inundated with my subsequent results. But this is a strategy that pretty much anyone can do, and it's relatively low cost. And there's tons of different ways that you can kind of mix it up and make it your own. So, with that being said, what we're going to get into today, we're going to be talking about gem leveling using primary, secondary regrading lenses, and temple corrupting, vol orbs, and crafting gear for that. Now, one of the reasons why I'm focusing on this quite specifically right now is because at this stage in the league, I still have other larger crafts, but those are relatively unstable with respect to expectation of time sales. When the player bases are down and people have large amounts of their gear, it can be somewhat of a question mark at times if you're focusing on things that are a little bit more unique or specific to a build. Things that are hyper liquid tend to be things like divination cards, gems, crafting currencies, etc. And so I like these because they provide a constant source of profit that passively sell with a relatively low variance and a relatively low input on my side in terms of upfront cost as well as time invested. So with that being said, what I'm specifically going to demonstrate today revolves around inspirations. For those of you who stuck around the channel for a while, you'll know that some of these things are sort of topics I've discussed before, but I'm going to lay it all out here in a way that hopefully can be helpful and sort of more holistic. So basically what we're going to be doing here, guys, is trying to get, we're going to go to Lily Roth, step one, right? We're going to pick up inspiration. And we're going to get these for one chance orb each, all right? Now, we're going to be trying to maximize the amount of experience that we can get for these within a 5-way carry, which you can get if I don't use TFT. So personally, I just go to trade 820, and you will often find people here selling 5-ways. Here you go, hosting 5-way service, hosting 5-way service, blah, blah, blah. The cost for these is approximately 4 divines for 6 rotations of it. So each 5-way is 5 minutes long. So 6 5-ways would be 30 minutes, meaning you can do 12 of them an hour. Now, what we're going to be going on for gear here, we're going to be trying to maximize our experience. Experience benefits for your character will also apply to gems. So we're going to get 2 Supreme Truths. These both give 3% experience gain. We're going to get the Chitus Apex, which gives 5% experience gain. And then we are not going to actually be using Paranda Signet, which a lot of people do. We're going to be going for either a Shaper or Hunter prefix of 3% experience gain. And we're going to be putting those on unset rings. This is obviously better for 2 reasons. One, Paranda Signet does only 2% experience gain, whereas these are 3. But as well, because they're unsets, it allows us to put 2 more gems in there. We're also going to be using an Ashes. Unfortunately, mine only actually has 8%. You can get upwards of 10%. And then we can use Dialas as well. We want to get as many blue sockets as possible because the blue sockets will allow you to get 100% increased experience for gem socket inside. On top of that, on our weapon swap, we're going to be using a bow, preferably with 6 white sockets, but you can get the colors as you wish. And then we're going to be using Maloney's. These will still get the experience benefits applied to the gear out here. And by using these 2, it allows you to have 9 sockets. If you were to put 2 Supreme Truths in your backup weapon swap, it wouldn't matter because they're not actively applying to your character. So that just allows you to have more gems. Now, for the sake of this video, we're going to be doing just inspirations, just for the sake of clarity. So for every one of these, you can see that they are 4 red or they are all white. But each one of these sockets will have an inspiration in them. So there are 3, 6, 10, 16, 17, 18, 22, 26, 29, and 35. So we can level 35 inspirations at one time. So that's 35 chance orbs off the bat. Now, with the experience benefits which we get, which are upwards of 27%, from myself personally, it's 25%, because as I mentioned, we only have 8% on the ashes. You will go from level 1 to level 20 in 1 5-way. So in 30 minutes, you will get 30 gems to go from level 1 to level 20. Now, you do have the option to flip the gems at that point, where you then pay 1 GCP per gem to get it to go from level 20 0 quality to level 1 with 20 quality. Waste of time, in my opinion. What we're going to do instead is just buy the GCP. For the GCP, we're going to be paying approximately 160 of them to 1 divine, 180 of them to 1 divine. But in the case of 35, since we can do twice an hour, that means that we can get, at least as a bare minimum, we will get 70 gems from level 1 to level 20. But it's actually upwards of 80 to 82, since you're going to be getting 100% increased experience for the gems that are in your Dialas. It depends again how many blue sockets you have. It's rather difficult to get 6 blue. But we'll say baseline is 70 gems per hour. So 70 gems would require 1,400 GCP. So you're looking at approximately 8 to 9 divines that you're going to be spending there. And now for the 2 rotations, you're going to be spending 4 divines per 6 runs. So it will cost you 8 divines there. So for 1 hour, you're looking at approximately 16 divines of cost to get the gems to 2020. And that will give you 70 to 80 gems at 2020 quality. You're looking at those, again, as I mentioned, 15 divs, approximately. What we're going to be doing from there is using lenses, and we're going to be changing the quality of those gems. And we are, at that stage, again, I'll go over the math here. We can either sell them as is, we can use Vol Orbs on them, or we can do Temple Corruptions. Now, Temple Corruptions are a little bit harder to codify specifically, because there's a lot more variance, obviously, in the outcomes, as well as the price of the temple is going to vary. However, the Vol Orb is always the same thing. It's a 1 in 8 for it to go +1, 1 in 8 for the quality to go up, and a 1 in 8 for it to go minus quality. These are the only 3 outcomes that really have any impact. Minus level is technically a negative outcome. However, because that level could just be regained, you can just level it again. It really doesn't impact the price at all. So 1920 is really not any cheaper than 2020. It might be 0.1 div difference. But for the sake of this video, we're just going to use Vol Orbs when I demonstrate things, because again, it's very easy to codify the math on it. Again, very, very much a simple equation of 1 in 8. Now, before we do that, one of the things that you're probably going to notice if you do go try to look at this in the market is that if you want to get an unset ring that has 3% experience gain, it is 5-6 divs each. Relatively expensive. Now, because unset rings have additional prefixes because of the +2 level of gems, it is rather difficult to just chaos spam them. For example, if you have a shaper unset ring, it actually takes 2,000 roughly chaos on average to do so. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to try and just awaken either the 3% experience onto it with a hunter ring, or vice versa. Obviously, we could do it with the shaper ring onto a hunter unset. And if that fails, what we can do is like this. We just get a unset and we get a hunter ring, and then we're going to go ahead and awaken these. All right, and now it is actually only a 1 in 350. To just spam this now, instead of it being, as I mentioned, 1 in 2,000, it goes to 1 in 350 chance. Okay, we'll do 2 of them at once here. Sorry, the reason why this improves the odds, by the way, is because Hunter also has the option to roll the 3% experience. It would actually probably be better to do this not on an unset and just have it move over. However, I did notice, and again, the market's going to change on this, but when I looked, yeah, you can see just to get the 3% experience gain is three divs, right? So 3 divs plus the awaken, you're going to be looking at least probably 4 divs if you want to just do it that way. Still cheaper than buying it, which is, as I mentioned, it's about 6 divs to do it. This strategy that I'm showing right here, on average, costs about 2.5. If we don't get it in a second here, I do actually have 2 3% rings right here. I don't want to, we might end up getting unlucky. I don't want to drag this video out for forever. Well, anyways, you get the Alt Control C. You get the idea there. Again, just for the sake of keeping this a little bit quicker, I'm not going to bother rolling those. But again, using the emulator, it was about 1 in 350, maybe 1 in 450. Either way, between 1.5 and 2 divines. If you do it that way in chaos, and then with the Awakener Orb, you're looking at 0.3 divs roughly. So it'd be 2 divines or less to get the 3% unset that way. And as I mentioned, if you are trying to get one of these off the market, you're going to be looking at 6 divs. So it saves you a few divines there on the upside. It's really not that big of a cost anyways, since it's somewhat of a fixed cost. You only have to do it the one time, and obviously you can repeat this over and over. But that's how you would go about getting those rigs. Since there's a few things to cover here, I'm just going to kind of blow past that. Some other things you want to consider doing as well, if you're going to be running these 5 ways, is to get a good incubator. If you want to use diviners, these drop somewhere between 3 and 5 stack decks usually every time they run out, but it's only 4,400 monsters, which means that you'll get 2 to 3 of them. You can run each gear slot can get 2 to 3, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry, 3, 6, 9, 10, and then you can actually, I haven't done any heists yet, but if you have a trinket, you can put them as well. So that would be 11, and then 3, so you can get 33 of these per single 5-way. So there's 6 of them, so you can go through 198 of them, 198 of these, which means you can be getting 198, let's say times 4 on average. You can get 792 stack decks, roughly, let's say 1,500 stack decks an hour if you preload these. And the item level does not matter, obviously, because it's divination cards. Alternatives to that as well, you could use like the currency incubator, the Harbinger one, or the Kalgurin, which is the expedition one as well, is pretty good. You leave that up to yourself, but it's another way to kind of min-max that too. All right, so now that we've covered how to get the experience gear, what gem we're going to be putting in, again, we could run a 5-way obviously right now, but I will save you guys having to watch me do that. I did actually just spend a couple hours doing this on stream, so this is not just theoretical. Yeah, so with the proper experience gear on, as I mentioned, for a 30-minute 5-way session, which is 6 total 5-minute rotations, 4 divines, you will go from level 1 to level 20, and that will take you, and then we're going to GCP them, and that'll take us to this point right here. All right, so we'll do 20 of them at first. The next thing that we're going to want to do, for this, is we're going to have to pick up regrading lenses. Now, it depends what gem you're using. For the inspirations, obviously, we're going to need the secondary lenses. When you're choosing what gem you want to use, what's important is to understand the weightings of the alternate quality gems. Inspiration is one that I particularly like doing because it is, as you see here, the base quality is superior, which means obviously the lens will change the quality, which means it has to go to either anomalous or divergent. And since these both have a weighting of 100, it is a 50-50. So not only is it high odds, but what is also particularly good about it is the fact that we can look here. 2020 divergent is 5 divs, and 2020 anomalous is 1.2 divs. Now, if we look at the price of a regrading lens, they are 2.2 divs each. So that means that if we get 2 gems as such, oh, they both went divergent. There we go. We can see here, so that we just spent 4.4 divs, right? And the distribution would normally be 1 and 1. And we get from that 4.4 divs, we're getting 6.2. So that's already a 1.8 divine profit there, right? Oh, looks like I forgot to GCP this one. Divergent, divergent, yang. So we're going to do 20 of them here just so that there's a large enough sample size. Oh, looks like we might be getting on the better side of variance here. Oh, yeah, we passed 50-50. Ooh, look at that distribution. God damn. All right, so in that situation right there, you can see of the 20 we just did, we got 13 divine inspirations, or sorry, divergence, and 7 anomalous, which means we just spent 20, right? So 20 times 2.2, 44 divs. And as a result, we have made 65, 5 divines times 13, 65. And then 1.2 times 7 is 8.4. That's 73.4 divs. So 73.4 would be 29.6 divine profit we just made from those clicks. But you know what? Actually, this makes more sense to do. Since what we're able to level from one 5-way rotation, as I mentioned, every half hour, we can do 35 of them, right? So we'll do 35 gems. Oops. We'll do 35 gems specifically, and then we can just multiply those results by 2 to get the divine per hour rate. And then I'll show you the math at the end, just so I can, because obviously, you know, in that situation right there, we got quite lucky given the fact it's a 50-50, but I'll show you the actual mathematical breakdown. Divergent, 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 divergent. What divergent? Divergent, divergent? Bro, bro! All right, well, I'm definitely going to show you guys the math. Because we just absolutely cleaned up. Holy shit. Well, I mean, you know, hopefully the algorithm likes that one. But no, for the sake of full disclosure, and obviously I don't want to be, you know, some editorial integrity here. As you guys know, I record all of these live with no editing, so this is not a normal distribution. As I pointed out earlier, it is a 50, mathematically it's a 50-50. We just got exceptionally lucky. Scarily lucky. So we just did 35 of them, and we got 25 divergence, 25 divergence and 10 anomalous. So again, so we'll do the little quick math there. 35 times 2.2, 77 divs was our cost. 77 D cost, and 25 times 5 is 125, and then 10 times 1.2 is 12, plus 12, 137 minus 77 cost, means we just made a 60 divine profit in the past, you know, 3 or 4 minutes. 60 D profit. So that is how you work it with lenses. Again, just to show you that there's alternative options as well. Here's some other ones. So we've got Discipline, which is going to use a primer grading lens. These are 0.8 divines each. Haste is another one that I like. Sorry, 0.8 divines. And look at that, 2.5 divs. All right. So we just went from 0.8 to 2.5 so that's 1.7 divines profit. And you can see here that it is just under a 50-50, right? So Divergent is a 100 out of 210. So you have a 47.6% chance to get the Divergent. And what's good too is that the anomalous, you can see, are still 2 divs. The divergence 2.5, and the phantasmals are right in that range as well. Now with the disciplines, they're actually not worth as much in of themselves. They're almost all going to go anomalous though. If you take a look at the weightings on these, the anomalous are actually a 100 out of 120. So 5 out of 6 will go anomalous. And anomalous is by far the best one that you can get. Because if you go take a look afterwards, Vol Discipline 2120. You're looking at 20 divs, 19 divs. So yeah, to get vol and +1 is a 20 div payout. If we want to just talk about a 2120, you're talking about 6.5 divs. And again, the primer grading lenses are much cheaper. For those of you that are more opposed to the variants, 5 out of 6, as I mentioned, will go to that. I would really, you must, when you're dealing with auras, you definitely want to take the tempo corruption route because you want to be able to get vol and the +1. Using a vol orb on these is not recommended whatsoever. But with the with ones that do not have a vol option, in particular with support gems, you can consider using vol orbs. So we'll break down some math here with what we have. So as I mentioned, we're at 60D of profit so far, right? With our inspirations. So that's from half an hour, right? Now that would be 1.5 hour of total effort. Now we've also got, what did we say? We've got 25 divergent and we've got 10 anomalous. So it's a 1 in 8 to go plus a 1 in 8 equals +1, 1 in 8 equals plus qual, 1 in 8 equals minus qual, and then 5 out of 8 equal no change, because again, minus level has really no impact. So with respect to the divergence, a +1 on the divergent side is typically about 11 divs, but we'll double check that quickly here. There we go. Hit 10.4 divs. There was one guy who posted it for 10, so we'll just say 10 divs to be easy. And then the quality is 6 divs. So 10 would be +5. +5 divine in value, right? The plus quality equals +1 in value. This is as opposed to just selling it the clean 2020 version. And the minus quality we're looking at 3 divs roughly, so that would be -2 divs. -2, and then there's no change on those, right? So in a situation where we have what we have above, right, with 25 of them, we'll just say that there's 24 because it's easier mathematically. So with 24, we would get 3 times +1. We would get 3 times +q. And we would get 3 times -q. So with the 3 +1s, we would get equals +15d. And then we're getting +3d. And then we're getting -6d, which equals +12 total net. Right? So +12d on the EV, expected value. And then with the anomalous, $7.2 divs. For a +1. 2.5 for a plus qual. So plus 1 equals 7.2, so that's plus 6. And then the plus qual is plus 1.5. And then it's half a div, I know this already, equals minus Q, which equals minus 0.5D. And so in the case with the 1 in 10, well, we can just see how it actually plays out. But using the above math, well, here, we'll just use the actual results. We got, I think there was no impact actually anywhere but that. So we could, we'll just do the actual, we'll do what our actual results are, and then I'll show you what the mathematical averages are at the end. All right. So we've got see, how do these go? We actually got rather unlucky there, but we were probably due for some poor variance given how the the regrading lenses went. Typically myself, by the way, I would normally be tempo corrupting these. Again, I just wanted to show this for the video's sake, just because the math is a lot simpler and translates better. So we got 1 plus 1, and then we got 2 plus quality. Did we get any minus qualities? Wait, did we not get a single minus quality? That's kind of crazy. Oh, we didn't get a single minus quality. Which means we got 22. 22 no effects. So in that case there, we just added plus 5, and then we added plus 3, and then 22 no effects, so that added plus 8. So we're at 60 divs profit, now we're at 68 divs profit. Right? And then with the anomalous, where'd that 21 go? There it is. All right, so for the anomalous, we got plus 1 level times 1. That's the only change we had. So, and they just sell for 1 div. Oops. Accidentally opened a second version of the game there. Yep, so we got plus 1 div on the anomalous. Or sorry, plus 1 level times 1, which adds plus 6. So we added plus 6 to our value, and then the rest did not change. So plus 6 to divine. So we just made 74 divine profit off of our first 35 gems there. So that is not too shabby. And again, the 35 was a number we chose as it represents the amount of gems that you can level in a single 5-way session, which takes 30 minutes, right? So even in that case there, obviously if I were doing this myself, I wouldn't be going into such detail, and this would be a much, much, much faster process. But it only takes a couple of minutes typically in between them. Sorry, 24 divs is a large enough amount that I want to sell. Sorry to interrupt the YouTube folks. Sorry, guys, just pricing these out here. Hopefully while we're doing this last little part of the video, some of these will sell. I have been doing this on live stream as well. It is worth mentioning, again, to reiterate that I suspect people are doing this as they're watching me live. Naturally, I'm not looking at the market specifically. But it really doesn't matter. These are incredibly, incredibly liquid. And often I sell like multiple ones of these in a day. And when I say multiples, I mean like, 50 of these in a single day. So we have the remaining 18 here. Let's just see how those go. And these are ones that, for myself personally, I'm going to Temple Corrupt. I won't show you guys that, although I can post in the community if you want with the... Oop, I think we got the better side of RNG here again. Look at that. So we just... Nice. We just got 11 and 7, so 18 of them right there. That's 55 divs, and 7, 8.4, 63.4, and we would have spent... We just made another 24 divs in profit. So what was our total at? We were at 74 divs. So now we're at 98 divs. in profit since the start of this video. And that's not including, sorry, we didn't count these either. That would have made it actually significantly higher because, again, each one of these is 2.5 to 3D, and all we spent was, 7, 10. We spent 8 divines, and we would have got plus 1.7 times 7 is 11.9. Say 12, 13. So we're up roughly right now about 111 divs profit so far since the start of the video. But again, my personal paths to glory are not of particular importance here. I did just want to demonstrate that because it is very, very good. Another thing you can do, again, when you watch the things that I demonstrate on stream here, guys, one of the things you want to watch out for is, replicating exactly what it is that I'm doing on stream at any given time. Doing the exact same strategy with the exact same gem in this case is not going to be typically a great idea. Obviously, I've purchased a great deal of the regrading lenses as well. As you can obviously tell, I have completely saturated the supply side market, which means, you're going to have to compete against hundreds and hundreds at a time. Now, there are ways that you can watch something like this video, whether it's me presenting it or somebody else, anyone else on YouTube or on stream or something, and just think of like the secondary or, even tertiary markets that are impacted by what it is that you're watching. So in this case, you could, potentially just sell the 2020 gems, right? Like a 2020 clean inspiration. I would venture to say that those are probably in like the 80 chaos range right now, something like that. 80 chaos for each one of those. You get 35 of them every half an hour, right? And that's just pure profit. 35 times 80, divided by 240, and then times 2. I mean, that's just that's 23 divines of profit right there with no risk assessment. Again, as I pointed out earlier, it is a mathematical certainty that you will profit using the regrading lenses. But you do want to proceed with caution there, nonetheless. All right, so here, prior to starting the video, I actually did the mathematical, layout for how this would profit over an hour. As I mentioned when we started the video, the outcome was 166 divines per hour. So I will show you the math on that right now. So in a 5-way, the group cost is 4 divines for 6 runs. That's assuming you get 10 to 12,000 kills. Inspiration cost is, I put 1 ult. It's actually 1 chance orb, although this is a negligible cost. The GCP cost is approximately 25 chaos per gem to get it from 0 quality to 20, which means that you are looking at 875 chaos to do 35 of them. So 3.5 to 4D, which means you'd be spending between 7 to 8 divines an hour. The secondary lenses, 2.3D. Primary lenses, 0.9D. And there we go. We're selling first inspiration there. The Dialas, this is just worth mentioning in case you want to get one of these setups going. The Dialas cost me 3 divines, and I bought that actually just prior to the video here. The rings to make them are about 2.5 divs, but you can you can do it for 3 to 5 Ds comfortably. If you don't have an ashes and I wouldn't, if you're on a lower level budget, I wouldn't specifically go out and buy an ashes for doing this. The marginal impact it's going to have. It's probably not going to necessitate its cost. That being said, they are they're quite easy to sell back. But nonetheless, those are going to cost you between 30, what do we have here, 35 and 55 divs, and that's just going to vary on depending on what quality roll you get. If you just want to get a 10% experience, they're going to be cheaper. You could even do that for while you're doing this and then sell them back after. As well. That's always an option, but that's one of the costs there. For the rest of the leveling gear, so that would be the Supreme Truths, the Chitus Apex, as well as the 6 White Bow and the Maloney's. In total, all of those together would cost 1 div. So again, we can level between 70 to 80 gems from level 1 to 20 an hour, and that is assuming again that we are just leveling them from 1 to 20 and then using GCP to get them to 20. So we are doing 2 times 6 5 ways to get back using the GCP. So that means that if we were to doing 80 gems an hour, right? And again, the reason it's even though we have 35 slots, the reason it's 80 is because you get the 100% experience bonus in the chest there. So that would put it, you get 10 additional gems per hour as a result of that. So for 80 gems per hour, as I pointed out earlier, when we look at inspiration, it is a 50-50. So that's obviously the law of large numbers. The greater your sample size is, the more it's going to shift towards that mean. So we're going to assume that we have the exact average here. So that means we are going to get 40 divergence and we're going to get 40 anomalous, right, on average. So that's 200 divines worth of divergence and 40 divines worth of anomalous. It's actually 48 divines worth of anomalous. And the cost there would have been we're going to have 88 divines in secondaries and 36 divines in primaries, which means we're up 116 divines. So the 2 times 5 ways are going to cost you 8 divs, which means we take that away from the 116, which means we're up 108. And then the 1600 GCP time is approximately 11 divs. That's actually incorrect as well. We did say it was 8, but we'll say 11 just to take it on the high side anyways. If you want to buy them in great bulk, so like if you want to buy them 1 divine at a time, you can get them at like 160 to 1, but if you're going to buy like 600 at a time, it tends to be like 115 or 120. So I think that's what I was using for the 11 div valuation there, or maybe 130. In any case though, that's still plus 97 divines per hour. And that is simply by, again, leveling the gems and then just using the regrading lenses. So the pre-corruption profit per hour would be 97 divines profit per hour. Now with corrupting, with the divergence, again, we have 40 divergence and 40 anomalous. So with 40 of them, since it's a 1 and 8, 5 will go plus 1, 5 would go plus quality, 5 would go minus quality. So 5 plus 1s would be plus 30 divines, 5 plus qualities would be plus 10 divines, 5 minus qualities would be, it's actually only minus 10 divs. But I'll keep it as the way it's written anyways, just to not mess with the math. So we have plus 27 divines for ball orbing that. And then with the anomalous gems, the plus 1s would add 35 divines, the plus qualities would add 10 divines, and the minus qualities would take away 3, which adds another 42 divines of expected value. So in total from the corruptions, you would get 69 divines per hour. 69 divines plus the 97 would give you a total of 166 divines of expected value positively per hour by simply taking the gems that you purchase from Lily Roth, right? And again, this is almost entirely deterministic. Buy the gems from Lily Roth, go do a 5-way, level them to 20, use the GCP yourself, go and get a gem. It's again a 50-50. And then if you want to use the Vol Orb, and again, I actually prefer to use the temples. It takes a bit more time, but the outcomes tend to be better. But simply just for the demonstrability or to communicate my point better, Vol Orbs are much simpler to understand because they're a 1 and 8 for each outcome, right? So even just using a Vol Orb, which again is the inferior method of the corruptions, you can see the value gain there. One of the things that sticks out for me the most is the fact that the anomalous plus 1 is it's 7.2 divs, right, as we just pointed out, right? And the gem itself is only a divine or 1.2 divs each, right? So you could just, if it's a 1 and 8, right, you buy 8 of them. You could even just buy them off the market. Buy 8 of them. That's 9.6 divs. 1 of them goes plus 1. That's 7.2. 5 of them do nothing. So that's 7.2 plus 5 is 12.2. 1 goes plus quality. That's plus 2.8. 12.2. 12.2, 13, 15 divs. And then 1 would go minus, so that's half. So 15 and a half. Yes, you have 15 and a half divs, and what I say the cost would be 9.6. So yeah, you make 6.5, 7 divs just from buying and using a Vol Orb on the anomalous, because the plus 1 has such a high value to it, which is pretty cray-cray. But nonetheless, yeah, you can have much better results than these, and you can obviously have somewhat worse. I got incredibly lucky here. We just ended up doing 25 on the first one and 11 here, so we got 36 divergence, and then we got 17. So 36 diverge and 17 anom, which means in the sample I actually just did myself, we got 150, 180D, and then these are 1.2. 20.4, let's say 20, which is 20, it's 200, and then we would have spent 53. So we made 84 divines in profit just from the lenses. Without the corruptions. As I mentioned, for myself, I am going to be using temples to do the rest of these ones here, since we already have a ton of them. Again, inspirations were ones that I wanted to do simply to really prove my point here because it drives it home well. As well, they are incredibly liquid. Again, I am recording this live on Twitch. People have been watching me prepare for this for like 2 hours. I had like 80 of these gems. I wasn't exactly keeping it a secret. And as I've been doing this, I'm sure people have been following it as well. So these are not selling perhaps as quick as they normally do. But I have hours and hours of VODs of me selling these. And I'll check in actually 24 hours from now, tomorrow. We'll do a check-in and I'll let you guys know how many of these have sold. I can almost assure you pretty much all of them will have sold in that time, and consider the fact that we're talking about 75 of the exact same gem here. But that's how confident I am in their liquidity and the profits. But this is obviously still, I know people are going to comment this in the YouTube comments. So, well, is it actually going to sell though? Well, I'll see you in 4 leagues when it sells. Shut up! You're all wrong. These are really, really hyper liquid. But again, it is still anticipated return at this point. But I will check in 24 hours from now to let you know how many of them are sold. But anecdotally, and for any of you that have done this yourself, you'll know that these are very, very liquid. And the margins on these are so high that we could actually even drop this by, the price would have to drop by 60 or 70% or something for us to not actually make money on these. So yeah, that's what we've been doing. With respect to those of you who've been keeping up with my community section, I did say that I challenged myself to make a mirror today. I think I started off with 70 divs there plus the lock. Now, while I did focus on inspirations this video, I just want to show you some of the other gems that I've been doing, because obviously, take a look at Lily. There are literally hundreds of different gems. I tend to focus on just one singular gem when I make these kinds of videos because I don't want to ruin every single market. I also think that it should be encouraged for people to go out and try and find different variants themselves. But just let me show you the value of some of these other gems that I have here. And these are all ones that I have today. All right. 38 divines per divergent cast and damage taken, 2120. And 90 divines right there. So we've got, that's 39 times 3, that's what, 120, 117. We got 207 divines worth of divergent cast and damage takens. We got 2 2123s divergent determinations. There's 130 divs, 2123, 39 divines on the precisions. Vol haste, 22 divs each. Vol discipline, 20 div. Vol discipline, 20 div. Vol grace, we got 30 div and 30 div. And then we got Vol Phantasmal Lightning Arrow, 22 divs each. And you can see we have multiples of all of those. And these are they're just their lesser versions, which are all still between, let's see here, 7, 10, 10, 10, blah, blah, blah. I know last time I counted, I believe that there was about a mirror and a half worth of gems there. And you'll notice that my liquid currency has actually gone up still since the beginning of when I posted that on my community section. Not to mention, I also have all of these lenses and all of these temples still. Not to mention everything that we just did right there with respect to the divergent gems. So irrespective of that, today we absolutely crushed it. I would anticipate somewhere in the 2 to 2.5 mirror range. I am up in profit today so far. Some of these things are going to vary a little bit, and it's going to sell a little bit slower by virtue of the fact that I've been streaming this. The markets fluctuate a bit, and I'm sure some of you guys are obviously going to jump on that. But I don't need infinite profit, and I think it's cooler to share these kinds of things. Plus, you get your wheels turning for the upcoming leagues and races and things like that. It should be stated, this is not something like that it's not a one-trick pony thing for me. The consideration for doing this pretty much en masse today and over the past week, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, is the fact that these are quite liquid. They don't have a very high upfront cost, right? As I mentioned, if you just want to level gems and then use the lens on them and stuff like that, you're only talking a couple divines per, right? So the per unit cost of them is very low. They move quickly, but you're not staking 200, 300, 400 divs on a single thing, right? You can spread it out over a bunch of different support gems. You can go for vol gems, you can go for primary gems, auras, blah blah blah. On top of that, it's also very good because you can exactly codify your results. Now, a small sample size is obviously going to suffer from variance to a larger degree, but again, by virtue of being able to look at POEDB, you can very much anticipate what your returns will be based on the material cost, the probability, which you can see right here, as well as the sale price, right? So take the amount you're going to do, right? So let's say we're doing 20 divine inspirations, right? We just go through the exact same math that I did there with you guys, and you can see what your outcomes will be. For those of you who are more risk averse, the leveling them is really good as well. There's a variety of different gems you can level. Again, for the sake of the video, I just focused on inspirations because it's easy. It's easy to demonstrate given the 50/50s and the way the vol orbs work and all of that. But I do encourage you guys, because people always, even when I do say this, people always seem to, well, it doesn't work anymore. Please, this is just an example. It's just highlighting something. As you can see here, my actual distribution of gems is much higher. I've got 10 or 15 of them on the go, not just one. It's good to diversify in that respect. What I like to do for myself when I'm crafting, right? So you can see I've actually had a few projects on the go here. Oh, nice. A few projects on the go here. I've got a bunch of these. I can have one additional crafted modifier weapons, including spine bows. We've got this double elevated power charge helmet. We've got this triple elevated silk gloves there. We've got all of these frenzy charge items or gloves here. All these things to awaken. Some flask crafting. We did a bunch of jewel crafting, right? So I made quad multi jewels, 66 multi there. We're doing some life triple multis, ES triple multis, right? You can see here I got a bunch of these things going, right? We got 1, 2, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Just crafting some of those up. So obviously these kinds of crafts tend to be relatively expensive. But one of the great things about what I'm doing here, and hopefully what some of you, choose to do as well, if you find this video useful or this kind of gameplay useful. These are something that you can kind of just do in batches like this, right? Kind of set them and forget them, and they will sell, right? Like these are very liquid. They're going to sell. You're going to have really almost deterministic outcomes where you can calculate whether your return is going to be or your expected value is negative, neutral, or positive, right? Follow the math, and then you can go off and do other stuff. For myself personally, you'll notice that I did 50, 100 gems, right? I did this all in one day today, right? We did all of these inspirations. Let's say there's 75 of those, maybe 50 of them here, and let's say another 30 there. So I probably did about 200 gems today, right? Now that's a lot to do in one single day. However, as I mentioned, we're up like 2.5 mirrors. Now I can go craft the things I want to do, go play how I want to, and these things will just passively sell. And when I start spending, this is one of the misconceptions people have. People assume I'm just getting handed currency or things like that because it's kind of hard to tell where things are coming from at times. But honestly, it's just stuff like this that's paying for it primarily, right? Every hour I probably sell somewhere between 40 to 60 divines worth of gems, right? And obviously, we have a pretty high upfront cost given the fact that I've done, as I just mentioned, like 150 of them at once. But you'll notice I'm still actually in the positive. I haven't done any other crafting today, just the gem stuff. But you'll see if you go look at my community section, I posted a photo of my currency tab before I started. And I think we had 77 raw divs there. So not only do we have all of this, future expected value here on top of, the liquid value. Like, that's 44 divs and 90 divs, 100. We have like 120 divs just of lenses there anyways. But we're still up, right? Plus we have all this stuff to sell. So this is a cool thing to do, even if you're not like a hideout warrior. if you're just leveling a new character, I started this assassin. We just started. Sorry, I forgot to mention this as well. Started a new discharge character 2 days ago. We were just doing 5 ways anyway. Kind of the impetus for this, so figure we might as well find something that would translate well for you guys. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do the 5 ways, you get your experience. Do a bunch of these gems. You can do them in batches. Just let them lie there. You'll have them sort of passively sell throughout the day. And you're going to have, a passive income source, basically. You can use that for further crafts. You can use that to explore or experiment a little bit. It's something that I greatly take advantage of. And at this stage in the league, it's also something that I highly recommend because they're quite liquid. And, like here, since we've done the inspirations now, we've sold, 4 of them, right? And that's been in a period of 8 or 17 minutes or so. We've sold 4 of these guys, right? So you can tell that they're, that they move quite quickly. But yeah, so that's the reasoning for me doing so. That is how, as I mentioned today, I based on what I had coming in an expected value, I was able to make a mirror in profit in 4 hours by doing this. And again, I spread this over a variety of different gems. I didn't just do it on the inspirations. I do want to highlight that again, that the inspirations were mostly for demonstrative purposes. So don't, it's not a good idea to do 75 of the same gem. You want to diversify a bit. But yeah, it was, I'm going to make the title of this YouTube video. It's probably going to look like clickbait, but hopefully I have demonstrated here through math and through the live demonstrations shown that it is, in fact, a legitimate strategy and one that is backed up by math. So for those of you who are interested in doing so, it's replicable in a normal environment. We went over what gear you needed, what currency items you need, how to craft the rings, how many gems we can do at a time, how many 5 ways to level it, the GCP versus flipping and equality, which gems to pick. Again, we're going to leave that up for you, but I did mention the categories of ones that I like, corrupting after, whether or not you want to do that, temples versus vols, and we discussed how fast did they sell. We saw a few of them sell here, but again, I will check in with 24 hours to give you guys the exact numbers. And for those of you who've been following along on my community section or just in general with the YouTube channel, hopefully this video has been helpful. For those of you who are going to go down this route, I wish you the best of luck. And let me know in the comments what you guys think about this, or if you have any questions that I didn't cover, as well. If you guys have any suggestions or burning questions that you want to know about crafting or about currency that I haven't covered in a video. Obviously, my mind tends to move in cycles, and I kind of have like this Rolodex of information I consult all the time. So I try to make these videos based on what I think is pertinent for you guys, but at the same time, I'm not infallible in that respect. So I'd love to hear back from you, and let me know what you guys want to see. I'm not going to blindly take it, but it's always good to have some feedback in that respect as well, because there might be some blind spots that, I just sort of take for granted that people would know. Anyways, thanks a lot, guys, for watching. I know it's probably a bit of a long video here. I can actually see on Streamlabs now that there was an error and this didn't record. I pray to God that I can upload from my Twitch, or I'm gonna be a sad panda. Oh God, how did I not see that error? Anyways, if you found this helpful, please consider subscribing. It helps me out to not starve. And your boy loves his food, cause you know the motto.
Damn, boy. Damn, boy, he's thick. Boy, that's a thick-ass boy.
There we go, baby. Thick boys, discharge daddies, hideout warriors, agoraphobics, crafters, TFT foes, and people alike. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. Peace.